Hey Ottawa, this is your Monday market snapshot for the Ottawa real estate market for Monday, October 16th, 2023. My name is Annalee Rice and I'm a realtor here in Ottawa, Ontario with Royal LePage Performance Realty. Every week I bring you the stats and details of what's going on in the Ottawa real estate market. So let's go. Okay, so if we look citywide first, we're going to look at the number of active listings. So the active listings across the city climbed this week by almost 100, and most notably in the townhome segment of properties. So we've got 31 more active listings for townhomes this week than last, and for detached, it's up by 47, condos up just slightly by 5. But the number of sold properties this last week did drop by about just over 30, and most notably, I'd say it's in the condo market. There was fewer condo sales this last week. Detached did drop fairly significantly as well. Townhomes just slightly. Here we have it in graph form. We've got the number of active listings in green, and we see that for the last 2 weeks, we've had a climb in the number of active listings. And the sales, you can see that they've been slowly dropping off. That's the red line. That's the firm sales. Been slowly dropping off for the last 4 weeks. The number of conditionally sold properties this week is a fair chunk higher than the number of sales this week. So considering that most of those should transfer to sales in the next week, then maybe the firm sale numbers may rebound a little bit next week. The overall number of properties on the market is sort of tied for the all-time high for this year. It climbed back up with those increased listings, and it sort of equaled out to what we had 3 weeks ago. The question is whether or not the sales are going to sort of steady out and sort of maintain a bit of a fall market, or are things going to slow down? And part of what might guide that is whether or not the Bank of Canada chooses to increase the rates further at the end of the month. The next couple of weeks, they're going to be making a decision on interest rates, which could again put a bit of a pause on real estate as people worry about their finances a bit more. Okay, so this chart shows us the new listing breakdown. So this week we had 414 properties that were listed onto the market, and it is a bit of an uptick from the last 3 weeks that were kind of dropping. 130 of those properties, however, were relisted properties. So 284 were new to the market. The breakdown is about 30% relist and 70% new properties. So yes, it's a bit of an increase. That's the sort of post-Thanksgiving climb. Will it continue to climb this week? I guess we'll see. The sales, though, I'm hoping will also pick up a little bit with these new listings. And if they don't, then we're going to sort of get into a situation where there's way more listings, much fewer number of sales, and that could have a bit of a trend where we get more into a buyer's market. Okay, so of the homes that did sell this week, 14% of the homes sold this week sold with no conditions. And I put the big arrow there because that's like super low. If you see the chart there, it's the lowest percentage of no conditions sales that we've had all year long. It's a drop by about 5% of what we typically are at. And also for this week, we had only 4% of the homes that sold within 7 days. So really the buyers were not out there being aggressive with buying new to the market properties. So 6 homes, that's the 4%, 6 homes sold within a week of being listed. And of those, 3 of them sold with conditions, 3 of them sold without conditions. When we're looking at the 30 days or less, we had 48% of the homes that sold this week sold within 30 days of being listed. So definitely these percentages are much lower than what we've seen in the last weeks. We'll see whether or not they bounce back up. This week could have been just a bit of a blip because of the Thanksgiving weekend. People really just not out shopping, the people not having any pressure to go without any conditions or act quickly on listings. So we'll see if this week improves. Okay, so next we'll look at moving in on some details of what happened in the different regions of the city. So first off, the central urban region, we see that there was basically a good climb in the number of active listings across property types. Not so much in the condos, but mostly in the towns and detached. And sales were down significantly for condos. This is really abnormal to only have 21 sales of condos in 1 week. In the central urban region. So I hope that was just a bit of a blip, but it was a really slow week for sales of condos in the center of the city. When we look at Canada and Stittsville, we see an increase in the number of active listings for detached and a little bit for towns, a little bit of a drop for condos. Sales were actually up for townhomes and condos, and that's a pretty good number of townhomes selling in a week for the region. And detached homes were very slow for sales this last week in Canada and Stittsville. In Barrhaven and Riverside South, we see an increase in the number of active listings for detached in towns, slight decrease for condos. And sales were very flat. Detached, again, very slow, 6 sales. Townhomes a little bit quick, a little bit more for townhomes, and condos were steady at 3 sales. And in Orleans, we had a slight increase in the number of active listings across property types and a drop in sales for detached and townhomes, and quite an increase actually, for condo sales this week, which actually kind of offsets those really slow sales in the central area of the city. Okay, so as always, I've got the full data in table format for the different regions of the city and the different property types. One thing I did notice when I was filling out these charts for all of the different properties was that the cumulative days on market, that's the CDOM, is climbing pretty much across the board for all property types. I was pretty much increasing all of those numbers by 2 or 3 in each of the columns there for the days on market. Okay. So the market is slowing down. More inventory is causing homes to stay on the market longer. It's just whether or not the buyers are going to come out to continue to have some sales. Okay, so that's it for today. I do want to comment that I'm going to keep following and updating everybody on whether or not the sales in the inventory are starting to hint that we're in more of a buyer's market. There's a lot of headlines and such in the news and by other realtors saying that, we've shifted into buyer's markets. And I am incessantly looking at all the stats and looking to see whether or not we actually are there. Also, just the way that the sentiments are out amongst the buyers, amongst the people I'm working with, amongst my peers. And I don't feel like we're fully there yet. The stats don't show us being there. But we are having increases of inventory and decreases of sales. And if those trends do continue, those are the things that affect the stats and would lead us into a buyer's market. So my name is Annalee Rice. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment, get in touch. My details are there. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Thanks.